Free hit on Merseyside. Free hit on Merseyside. Free hit on Merseyside. Free hit on Merseyside. Well then, guys, we're back, and it is free hit season. It is for the remainder of the season, it is most definitely free hit. Europa League seems like a free hit as well, um, and FA Cup for however long we're in that now. I think it was, what is it, Crystal Palace we play at Old Trafford, I think it is. Yeah, we're not long for all of these competitions, and with the news that we've had breaking in recent days and weeks, we've seen the situation or people's mental game just deteriorating to unfathomable, unceremonious places. And yeah, it's all crumbling down. And yeah, we're seeing the situation for what it is. Basically, now it's gone from Project 21 of win a Premier League by 2028 to 10-year project, guys. 10 years. We've got to spend 10 years to sort out this financial mess. I can tell you for a matter of fact that if somebody who's in charge of Man United right now, who owned Manchester United and really wanted Man United to be so good, so bad, it wouldn't take a 10-year project to do so. It'd probably take about 3 years to do so. And, the situations we have, no matter how deep rooted it is, if you've got a cultural problem, it's players that just seemingly infest each other in a very relaxed culture and no real, accountability. Well, simple. You just get somebody at the very top who's unbelievably, um, account worthy, takes accountability, and everyone sort of looks at it and goes, ooh, I should take one or two notes from him or her, whoever it is, and ultimately follow in their footsteps. Because what we've got right now is one side of the coin. We've got the Glazers who have enabled everything for the past decade or so, and for, what is it now, 17, 18 years now, have been at this football club. Actually, no, 20 years, because they took over in 2005. So that was their first season or first year that they were in charge of the football club. But yeah, about 20 years now that the Glazers have been at this club, and in 20 years they've done absolutely nothing except rack up a massive debt that the club has been using its financial accounts that it should be using money to pay off transfers or doing business that's for the betterment of the club. In fact, it's been the Glazers' debt wherever it follows them. They've basically said, right, Manchester United earns lots of money. The reason why we want more money is probably not so much to do with having more of a chance of spending bigger in the summers, but when you get Champions League, it guarantees that we can take a bit of dividends out and have absolute consequence for it. Well, the European football qualification looks like it's drying up and is going to disappear entirely unless we somehow, some way win Europa League this season, which is not going to happen, let's be real. There's no more dividends for the Glazers. They can't take dividends out. They hope that Ineos can make it so that they can take dividends. And Ineos, the way that they're doing it, is rather than improving the situation with the club's competitive nature and aspect and how well it's doing or anything like that to get the fans really on board with the idea of an Ineos ownership or partial ownership, the Glazers are essentially watching Ineos basically shrivel up. The project of Ineos looks like it's slowing down. It's lost its steam. It's lost its edge. It's not really there anymore. It's not quite the sort of promise perhaps that the Glazers would have had given to them when the deal was first put on the table. But anything for the Glazers to keep a cash cow that deals with their debt problems. And that's basically what Man United has been. Let's be real. The Glazers have racked up debt, bought the club on debt, and then basically said, right, okay, Manchester United, you, you guys, from your massive revenues, can service the debt. And that's basically what Man United have been doing for years. We've apparently paid, right, the debt plus transfer fees outstanding that we've yet to pay off, right, amounts to about 1 billion. The amount of debt interest payment we paid racks up to about 1 billion. So technically, as far as debt money is concerned, we're about 2 billion below where we should be, right? We're £2 billion thereabouts out of pocket, right? So if that doesn't tell you where Manchester United is as a football club right now, that's that's just ridiculous. Name me another club in the world that sits 2 billion out of pocket where they, £2 billion, preferably away from where they should be, right? And we talk about the £1 billion that was spent on transfers as well, right? That's £3 billion of to add, or £1 billion to add to the total altogether of poorly spent cash. We're sat about £3 billion away from where we should be. That's the reality of the situation, and that's just uncomprehendable. You can't comprehend it. It's ridiculous. It's so far off course. What do Man United do to get back? Well, people say, "Oh, it's going to take 5, 10 years to get back." Well, not necessarily. It just takes the people who own the football club to actually put the money where the mouth is and start actually coming into the offices and start saying, right, let's get to work. That's all it takes. Sergeant Ratcliffe ain't going to do it. In fact, he's, he, the fact is that I don't know with Sergeant. I really don't know. I mean, Omar Barada, he's come out and said, oh, these leaks, whoever's doing these leaks at the football club may lose their jobs. And thinking, okay, well, we've known that, these journalists have been getting sources from players or those affiliated to players. So good luck sacking people if it turns out that, some big names in your team are the ones that are leaking. Because let's be honest, are you going to sack somebody? You're going to sack a player? Nah, you'd much rather sack hundreds of people to lower costs, right? Rather than deal with a cultural issue or a cultural instigator at the club, right? They're to blame for the instilment of poor, toxic culture. They are to blame for it. So ultimately, with this club, what we need is for fans to make it abundantly clear. And this is where my stance is on fans, right? As the consumer of the product, fans are very frequently referred to as the lifeblood of football, right? And people they brown nose to fans a lot of the time when the mission statement is, oh, the fans are really important, pivotal to a club. They'll brown nose to fans. They'll say, oh, they're so important to the club. The second that the fans actually use that importance, though, oh, they become public enemy number one. So as far as I'm concerned, this protest that's going to happen on the 9th of March against Arsenal, right? Whatever happens, those fans will probably be branded as brainless idiots that, have no place being at a football ground or have no rights to supporting the football club. When in actual fact, they're just fans that want to make change. They want to do something. They want to, you know, exercise their rights as a fan, as a supporter of the club, because the supporters are ultimately, priority number one for football clubs. But it seems like a lot of the ownerships that we got in the Premier League seem to forget that. They seem to undermine the value of the supporters of our football clubs. And this protest is basically going to remind the ownership. We know how the the guys at Ineos generically, they do turn up a little bit more than what the Glazers do. Maybe if they turn up to this game, although they're probably being told by their advisors, stay as far away from Manchester as humanly possible, because if you turn up as an owner of the club, a group that are protesting against you and your co-ownership in the Glazers, yeah, it's probably wise of you to stay very far away. But who knows? Who knows? Maybe Sir Jim decides he wants to grow a set and face the music head on, right, and really see the situation firsthand for what it really is. And that's where we are as a fan base, right? We are simmering and ready to explode. And dependent on how results go between now and the 9th of March, it could get significantly worse. Like, people forget that football changes a lot of things, like from results change moods and feelings. If we get absolutely wiped off the face of the planet by Everton tomorrow afternoon, the fans will probably go, okay, well, we got the big protest on the 9th. Let's schedule one before then, right? Um, People don't realise that there is a very capable aspect that you get impromptu protests, impromptu, where fan groups just say to each other, if you're going to this event, kick up a fuss about this situation, kick up a fuss here, kick up a fuss there. I mean, they created a big deal about the 9th of March. They could realistically, if the results are tremendously bad, they could organise an impromptu protest. But because emotions are so high, people who would normally not be involved would probably see this protest gaining a little bit of traction. They'll go, right, I'm in, sign me up, straight in there, head first, don't care, I'm there. This is what could materialise. We could see impromptu protests, game cancellations. Never say never. I don't necessarily think games would be cancelled, but you can never say never with these fans. And ultimately, yeah, that's kind of the situation with the protest aspect, with fans acting out, because with these results, you can't predict what fans are going to do. We can't predict what the outrage is going to be. Now, as far as the game is concerned, we've got a lot of injuries. They've got a lot of injuries. Despite that, that's a club right there that's believing again. And not to disappoint a lot of people, but this is an Everton side that's now above us. They're above us in the table now. They're 14th, we're 15th. They could gain a 4-point advantage over Manchester United. 4-point advantage. West Ham, say for argument's sake, let's say for argument's sake, they decide they're going to turn up against Arsenal and shock the world and get a win. Never say never. They would move above us. They'd move above us by a point. And we'll be down to 16th. Wolverhampton Wanderers face Bournemouth. If they can find points somewhere, they move to 22. That would then be 7 points behind Man United. Ipswich are then 2 points behind them. So the relegation zone is 12 points. 12 points behind us. All it takes is for a mini run, just a little run, for these smaller clubs. And Man United to have such disastrous circumstances that we never win a game for the rest of the season. We lose every single game. And yeah, relegation is very well within the realms of possibility. And people will say you're exaggerating when you say that, oh, we'll lose every game for the rest of the season. Am I? What's to say that these players don't jump on board this toxic trait of blaming managers for absolutely everything that ever goes wrong in football and throw the towel in? What if the players what if the players decide to take matters into their own hands and just whoever Ineos choose as the manager, if they sack Ruben Amorim, they bring another manager in and he's along the same lines as Ruben Amorim in terms of how he manages. Maybe they just don't. They maybe just like, oh, another one of these guys. Nah, don't start playing, guys. Don't start playing. We'll just throw the towel in again. Like these are unfathomable circumstances, but Manchester United are within unfathomable times. You know, we don't. People around the world who support football don't think about Manchester United being in the situation that they are in. Us as fans of the Manchester United Football Club, we don't we don't think about these circumstances as the reality of this club because we should be right at the very other end of the table. We should be right up there with the Liverpools, Arsenals, Nottingham Forests. We should be above Man City. We should be above Chelsea. We should be above all of these other clubs. That's where Man United should be. But we're not. Everybody, and I mean everybody, is above Manchester United. Everybody is. And if the situation is bad now, well, Ineos planned through a 10-year process, but there's plenty of room for error. And people say, well, if all goes according to Ineos's plan, it'll be 10 years before we're back. But what happens if it doesn't go to plan, though? It can go from 10-year process to approximately never. Man United will go so far. And the thing is right, maybe Man United if we end up going down divisions, as a hypothetical, and the ownership are just done with us, they'll toss us off to the side like we don't care, like we don't matter. And the importance or significance of Man United will be inconsequential. So all of these other ownerships that would be like, oh, I can make Manchester United the biggest and bestest club on the planet. You're not going to get an ownership that will come in and do that. They won't do it because it's too much work. The interests that you'll draw are from money men, people that only care about money and profits and revenues. So, unfortunately, if we get to such a bad situation, the only ownerships we'll ever get from now on will be just people interested in milking the club dry, kind of like what the Glazers are doing. That's where we could end up going, and that is going down divisions. That is being bought by some shady, failed billionaire businessman who could rack up already with major amounts of debt. Don't let's not forget here. If the Glazers leave, the debt doesn't leave. The debt stays put. The Glazers want to rid themselves of debt, you know, but they won't take responsibility by paying the debt. They will just they'll just keep it there and say, good luck, good luck, have fun. That's our reality. But but yeah, as far as this game is concerned, free hit for Everton. That's a club that's fully believing their project, their process, and they're starting to look like a decent team. They're starting to look like a team that's actually trying, that cares about improvement, staying up in the Premier League, and getting higher up the table. David Moyes back at Everton seems to have revitalised them. Um, Manchester United can't afford a revitalisation period. We can't afford it. We just don't have the money to do it. We don't have love nor money capable of getting Manchester United up the table. Um, and yeah, that's the reality of our situation. Long story short, guys, we're cooked. We're absolutely cooked. And the fact is, in this moment, on this day, on Friday, the 21st of February 2025, there is only 5 clubs in the Premier League currently worse positional wise than Manchester United. 5 clubs. Tottenham are above us in the table. They're up to 12th at the moment. Even though they're 1 point ahead of us, they're protesting at the moment to get their ownership changed. And we've only just started. Bearing in mind, we've only just started. They're chasing a Tottenham that starts to win trophies because they just haven't been doing it for years and years and years. Trophies we are still winning. And the future promises us that we're going to cut costs, and we're going to streamline the business, and we're going to do things away that is sustainable, but we don't know what level sustainable is. We don't know what it is, as long as it means that the club generates revenue, right? They don't care where Manchester United are. If it's generating revenue and it's in the green, that's all they care about. They are not fussed with where Manchester United are at the table. They don't care if Manchester United are lifting trophies. They genuinely don't care. They'll turn up to places and save face, but they genuinely don't care. It's not their priority. So that's the reality. As far as a score prediction, um, and you guys might think I'm absolutely out of whack for this, right? Genuinely out of whack. I mean, Everton, let me put it this way. Arsenal and Everton are the 2 sides with the best form in the Premier League. The top 2 sides in the Premier League for form in the Premier League for Premier League games is Everton and Arsenal. And we're expected to go to Merseyside up against that and do anything whatsoever. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen at all. So, yeah, basically, it's a question of how many are Everton going to get. Now, I've written this game off and I've gone with a 4-0 to Everton because I feel like tomorrow is going to be horrendous for United. I get the vibes, I get the feelings. Tomorrow is going to be abysmal. It's going to be embarrassing. It's going to be tremendously bad. It's going to be a shambles. I don't know if you guys agree with that, whether you guys feel the same or whether you guys believe that United have got something up their sleeve, but I think we're doomed. We've lost this game, and we ain't. It's not even on match day yet. We've already lost this game. Everton at home, bouncing. Manchester United come to town. They hate us. Mancunian club visiting a Merseyside club. They'll want us buried. They'll be calling for 10-0 score lines. They don't care. Score as many goals as possible and make sure that away section is completely empty by the time the final whistle goes. That's what they want. That's what they'll want. They'll chase that. They'll absolutely chase it, and I reckon David Moyes probably will want the same. As a former employer sacked by this club, I think every time David Moyes will face Man United, you'll hope, he'll hope it will be the same outcome for United, just losses, just devastation, destruction, just everything. So let me know what you guys think, what your predictions for this game are, and do you agree it's a free hit on Merseyside? Do you think? Do you guys agree that this is a free win for Everton, or do you think Man United have got something to say? Let me know in the comment section down below. Don't forget to smash the likes and subscribe, and all about good stuff. And yeah, what on God's name are we about to walk into? We'll catch you guys later. Post-match reaction will happen tomorrow, and yeah, we'll be seeing you guys. We'll be seeing you guys around. Take care.